What's good, people? And with the holiday season coming up, it's time to prep the new 2K gamers that are going to be booting up pretty soon. So with this video, I'm going to go over some basic things you should know when you hit the hardwood in NBA 2K21. And once you're done here, check out our other videos on the channel that will help you in other aspects of the game. So alright, let's get it. First off, it's super important to find the right playbook and plays. While you more than likely won't be Kyrie Irving crossing dudes up instantly in 2K21, you can do yourself the most favors in 5 vs 5 modes by finding the right playbook, stick with it, and learn it. So you end up with a nice set of go-to plays in your back pocket to generate easy offense for yourself as you work on the other aspects of your game. So these plays will get the guys open for you, and all you have to do is make the correct read at the proper time to the then open guy to generate buckets. Trust me, it's super frustrating playing a guy you're pretty sure you're better than, but his plays are so on point, you get double mad because it's working. And also make a note of the type of play you're most comfortable with. Is it a pick and roll with 1 read, off-ball 3-point plays with 2 reads? Learn what you're best at and do it as often as possible, as finding the right mix of plays can make it tough for the defender to guard you. And if you have these set up and mastered right away, it will give you more time to improve the other parts of your game while you stay somewhat competitive. Going through the playbook screen and the roster menu gives you an idea of what playbooks have and what amount of each type of play, so that's a good place to start. Next is knowing how to aim with the right stick. Now, the plays you run won't mean anything if you don't get the hang of the shooting system in 2K21. Gamers new to 2K will find that things have changed with the shooting, where pulling the right stick down now will activate shot stick aiming, where you have to align the tick inside the bar as close to the middle as possible to get the best shot of making a bucket. And the more normal shot timing by default is only able to trigger by hitting X on Xbox and square on PS4, where you get a slingshot meter where you have to stop the tick at the other end. Shot stick aiming, while harder, will give you some of the biggest boosts to making shots if you master it. So give it a chance before you think 2K was crazy for adding this and turning it off. And a patch after the game came out made changes to shot aiming in the form of having more consistency in the meter and the tick's relative location depending on how quickly or slowly the right stick was flicked down when you start a shot. A slow flick moves the ideal aim point to the left, while a fast one moves it to the right, giving you more consistency in a controversial mechanic. 4 is knowing the hot and cold zones under your players. The backbone of shooting in NBA 2K is your hot zones and making sure you shoot in them as much as possible, as this year you will receive a bigger shooting boost if you're in a hot spot than you did in 2K20. And for those unaware, the meter underneath your player will tell you whether you are actively in your player's hotspot on the court or not, and will flash red, blue, or neutral depending on where you're at. Next is mastering the pick and roll. Now, picking up NBA 2K21, you're going to learn quickly that this isn't the AO1 mixtape tour, and you're going to want to have some type of consistent game plan for you to score buckets. And the most common way that you must be able to operate at a high level out of is the pick and roll. The pick and roll creates many options for you, and you're going to want to know all of them and maintain every one of them as long as possible during a play. Breaking free for an open 3 or drive, hitting a roll man at the basket or behind the line for 3, or even hitting a secondary player because the help defense is sprinting over to stop you. You want to practice each option enough times so you're not running into situations where, despite running a successful pick and roll, the execution still fails. Next is guarding the lines. When dribbling and defending, this has helped me a ton. And it's important to remember the goal is simply not allowing the ball handler to beat you to the painted area, as that is where animations are guaranteed to trigger, and then you're fighting to not foul them or give up a bucket. And on offense, you want to get to this spot before the defense does. Getting accustomed to these necessary spots on the floor, anticipating this is where they need to go or where you need to go, will help you react faster when the situation calls for it. Like pouncing the moment you got the defender to slide out of the way, instead of you doing 1 or 2 more dribble moves and then the lane is closed. And being aware of the area you need to guard on defense will have you naturally making the proper adjustments on D to always be in line with these marks, and also giving you a key to know when you're officially beat and when it's then time to start sprinting. Now, if you want to call a specific play for somebody on the court, by tapping L1 or LB, a screen appears, and on the first page, you want to hit the last option, Screen Positional Play Calling. And now everybody has icons over their head. So whoever you want to call a specific play for, hit their icon, and now the whole menu is specifically tailored to them, with the first 4 options being very basic plays you can do with that player based on their position. And hitting left or right trigger gets you into the team's playbook of plays that you can run with that player. Some guys will only be able to run 3-point plays so their playbook is small, while others, usually the point guard or other star players' playbook libraries, are very huge. Now let's talk about having patience defending. The goal is to put the ball in the basket, so on defense you want to make that as hard as possible for your opponent. Every shot they take, you want to be as close as you can. This means having discipline and not trying to fly around the court, jumping at every little hint of a shot you see, or even jumping before they even put up a shot. Otherwise, you will quickly notice a lot of your guys end up in foul trouble. Instead of trying to go for blocks every time up the court, you want to start thinking about contesting shots. You can do this by holding the right stick up, putting your player into a hands-up defense. While not as effective as it's been in years past, it's way better than jumping at every little thing and fouling out at halftime. Alternatively, you can flick the right stick up when your opponent is further away and just about to shoot. Adopting this type of approach, you will see the most direct positive results in the paint area, as you're jumping less, but making the paint a less desirable place to attack. Next up, you don't want to force shots. In general, you don't want to get into the habit of forcing shots when the chance of it being a high percentage one is next to nil, and you end up throwing up a 70%. It's nice to be bailed out by badges once in a while, but you don't want it to reflect in your shot selection. So you have to be aware of your surroundings to then judge if you should shoot that particular shot. Speaking mainly for park and rec, shot IQ goes way down the longer your teammates don't pass you the ball. And once you get the ball, you're shooting regardless of what the defense is doing. You don't want to be that guy or girl. You must fight the urge and don't be afraid to pass it back if the shot isn't there, because shooting that heavy is doing nobody favors but the defense. Next up is you want to learn how to set up your favorite plays. Now, one of the best additions 2K has added in recent years was the ability to set up your go-to plays as your favorite plays. By default, your favorite plays will be ISO, floppy, etc., etc. But the fun part is you can change them by going into your game plan, then down to offensive settings and play selection. And you'll find the 8 defaults on the right. And if you click play selection and select a play, you can scroll down through your whole team's playbook, where you can fill up your 8 favorite plays with go-to plays from that team's playbook. So if you have a certain money play you want to run for your best shooting guard, set it up here. And when you come out on the court, it will only take 2 button presses and you have your guy streaking wide open as often as you would like. Now, to make sure a play like that is going to your best shooter only, you can assign plays to a specific player by highlighting the play and hitting triangle or Y on your controller and assign it to anybody in your starting 5 or bench to guarantee they get that look. And lastly is learning how to stop on a dime. Basketball is a fast-paced back and forth game, and in the midst of all the chaos, it's hard sometimes to settle down for a second on the stick to pull up for a standstill shot, while trying to avoid an incoming defender disrupting it. As we all have had that one shot that went left quickly because we pulled up for an off-balance leaner when we didn't want to. So it's important to know how to stop your player completely in the open space to set your feet and shoot. And you do that by tapping LT or L2 on your controller, or attempt a crossover by flicking the right stick to your off-ball hand quickly. And if done successfully, your player will be put into a position to quickly rise up and shoot if you want, avoiding the unwanted leaning shots of brick that can ruin many fast breaks. Sorry, sports gamers, do you agree with the list? And if not, what's something that you think new 2K gamers should know when they first boot up? Leave it in the comments down below. And stay tuned here at Sports Gamers Online for more NBA 2K21 content. So make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And once you're with us, hit that bell icon at the bottom so you don't miss anything we put out. Alright people, I'm Chris. Thank you all for watching, and be good, y'all.